I'm Brittany. I'm a licensed elementary school teacher, but I'm staying home to homeschool my 2 kiddos right now as I run my business. And today we're going to talk about what to do when your child hates their worksheets. Okay, so I had a question today from a parent whose child is doing the Abeka program, and I know that's a really common homeschool program for especially younger children. I don't know about the high school age, I'm not there yet, but I know it's common especially for the younger kids, and it can have some great stuff in it from what I've heard. But from what she tells me, her daughter hates doing all of her worksheets. She's really slow at it, even though she's capable of finishing them very quickly. And I have to say, this is not an uncommon thing even in public school. When you give a bunch of kindergartners worksheets, they will dally and they will do everything they can not to finish the worksheet. So here's something that you can do if your child is in one of the younger grades and they really just hate their worksheets, and the worksheets are still simple. I mean, there's some worksheets that as you get older, you can't do anything except the worksheet. Like if you're doing, algebra or calculus or science, you have to finish the worksheets. There's really no other option. You can't play with blocks to equal what you're doing and your lessons. But for the little bitties, the good news is you can actually get around doing some of these worksheets while completing the same kind of tasks that they're asking children to do on the page. Now, I'm not saying skip all the worksheets. I'm really not. But what I'm saying, because this particular reader said her daughter is doing worksheets for multiple, not classes, but subjects, I suppose, is if your child struggles to do worksheets for a lot of different subjects all at the same time, one of my favorite places to start would be substituting physical activities in some ways for those worksheets. So look at the worksheet, see what activities they want your child to do. Are they, filling in missing letters for CVC, which are consonant, vowel, consonant words? Are they looking for you to fill in letters? Do they need to practice writing words? Do they need to practice rhyming words? Now, yes, children do need to know how to write, especially when they're moving into first grade and on. You can't get around writing all the time, but what you can do if it's something that doesn't have to be written, so say they're not practicing writing the word for the sake of penmanship. Say your child is working on, IDE words. Say they're in first grade and they're working on words that end in IED. That's called a word family. Instead of doing a worksheet, you can look for items around your house, or if you have manipulatives, other manipulatives that use the same letters, but use physical things that the kids can touch instead of doing the worksheet, because you can still practice the same skills without writing everything. Because I will say worksheets can be incredibly dull, even as adults. We don't like sitting down and filling out worksheets at the doctor. We don't like sitting down and finishing worksheets for most things. So I think for children, that much paper and that much black and white, even if there's color, it can be overwhelming because it feels like you're doing the same thing over and over again. Kids really can do better sometimes if they're touching things, if they have things that are objects rather than paper. So save the paper if your child is struggling. If they're doing great with the worksheets, awesome, keep doing it. But if they're really struggling to do all these worksheets at once, I would start with seeing what you can substitute, physical items that you can substitute for the worksheet. So if they're doing IED, let me see if I can tilt my camera down here. Okay, so if they're struggling and you're doing IED words, now hopefully this isn't backwards for you. I'm trying to do it in the way that you would see it. Okay, so if they're doing IED words, if you have a puzzle that has all the pieces, you can have them practice with puzzle pieces. So this says I'd. If you've practiced, if they know that IED says I'd, I'd. Okay, we're going to take that one out. Let's practice with B. Okay, so B, I'd, B, I'd. Okay, we're going to take that away. And something that my daughter loves that my mom did with me when I was little is if I got something correct, I would get to keep that item. So if I got H correct, I would get to keep H. So this is my little pile of letters here that I got correct. And it gives kids a sense of accomplishment because they can physically see and touch all the things that they've done right. Okay, let's look at R. I'd, ride. Okay, they get to keep the R. Now say that they get a word wrong, so, or a letter wrong. Say this is I'd and they mistake it for M. So they say I'd. You'd say, okay, you know what, that one's not correct. Does this look like an M? No, this is a W. What does W say? So this would be I'd. So after you've gone over it with them and have corrected them gently, you're going to say, okay, we're going to put this back in the pile to try again. Let's go on to a different one first. And so you would continue practicing, and a few letters later, after they've been through all of these, you would pull W out again, and you would say, okay, we tried this a few minutes ago. Let's see if we can get it again. I'd. If they get it, great, they add it to the pile. If not, you put it back in, and usually at the end what you're doing is you're stuck with the letters that they struggle with. And this is a great way because this gives you a visual as to what letters they need to work on. You can do the same thing with math. So let me put the letters back here. We actually miraculously have all the letters to this puzzle, the two puzzles I'm pulling out, which I'm just shocked because usually puzzles get pieces lost very easily. And I have a 2- and 4-year-old, and my 2-year-old likes to throw things. So, okay, so you can do the same thing. These are some of my favorite puzzles in the whole world for math. We actually have little pegs that go in these holes, and then they have rings that go along with them. So there's 1 purple ring and 2 mauve rings and 3, peach rings. I don't know. I don't know all the colors exactly because they kind of switched some of them around, but I don't give these I don't keep them here because my toddler still likes to stick things in his mouth, and they're definitely choking hazard size, but they're good for older kids like my daughter who's 5 and doesn't eat things like that. So if she's practicing her numbers, or even if she's practicing, say she's practicing adding and subtracting. Okay, so you've got 1 here, and say we're adding 3. Now they do have puzzles you can buy, and I can actually link those I can link to those on my website. And I keep the link to my all the lists on the website. And what it is it takes you to my blog where I have all the links to the manipulatives that I name that I like. They do have puzzles that have the plus and minus and equal signs. You don't have to have those, but if you want them, they do exist. Say they're adding 1 plus 3, and you could even, I don't know, take a piece of paper and make a plus sign on here and stick it on top. 1 plus 3. And then what you would do is you would take, if they still need it, you could have them actually count out objects if they're still in the stage where they need to count out objects. So, okay, so we have 1 plus 3, so we're going to put the 1 down here, and we're going to put 3 objects here. Now, plus, what does plus mean? Does that mean put together or take apart? Okay, it means put together, and you're going through all of this with your child. So put together. So 1 is put together with 3. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you've just done addition. You can do the same thing with subtraction. You don't need the worksheet. You've just done the same exact thing that they would have done on a worksheet. You don't even have to have the counters. If your child doesn't need them or they're learning to do the math without them, you don't have to add those. It's just something in that if they need it. But there are lots of ways when they're younger to get around doing the worksheets if the worksheets are overwhelming. You're doing the same activities. You're doing the same, you're cementing the same skills. You're just not doing it all on a piece of paper. And what you could do too, if you want them to still get used to doing things in worksheet form, is you can do part of it on the worksheet and part of it physically. You can use whiteboards. You can use, we have magnetic letters. There's so many ways to get around. You could do blocks, you could do marbles, whatever you want. You can use snacks. There's so many ways to get around having to do all of it on paper, especially, again, if it's overwhelming to them. And I apologize for the bad lighting. It's really cloudy outside, and so I've got my little light here going on, my light from the kitchen, and it makes me look kind of like a pale green ghost. Okay, so if you're doing place value, and I will actually have if you sign up for my newsletter, which is now up, you get downloadable links where you can go, and there's a PDF you can print out, and I have a hundreds chart, I have a number line. I will be doing videos on how to use those. They're pretty self-explanatory. But if you want some of those, they're free. You can print them. You go to my website, you sign up for my my newsletter. Okay, so these are one of the other really amazing manipulatives that I do recommend. I'm not the person that says you have to buy all the stuff on Amazon or in the learning store. You really don't, but these are amazing. These are called base 10 blocks. If you have these, you can use them. Awesome. But I bring them up because a lot of worksheets use them for pictures and for examples. And so once again, there's something about having the physical, the physical object in your hands that helps children when they're at their earlier levels. And worksheets sometimes take that away. Yes, we want them to do them without manipulatives eventually. They need to learn that. But when I was in college, my math professor said, honestly, we need to let kids use manipulatives when they're young as long as they need them, because they need to cement that. If they need to finger count, let them. It's not going to hurt anything. We want them, like I said, eventually to learn to memorize some of these things. Yeah, 1 + 3 is always 4. But we don't want to take them before they're ready, and sometimes worksheets do that. Sometimes worksheets steal objects before kids are ready. So what base 10 blocks do are, if they don't know, is they have usually 4 kinds. I don't have all of mine out because my child is not ready for all of them. The ones cubes. Okay, so the ones cubes are tiny, and I always thought they looked like cheese when I was little, but they're literally these little bitty cubes, and it's just one. It's one little baby cube. A 10 stick is, if you can see, there are lines. There are 10 of these baby cubes in a line. Now these don't come apart. There's always 10 in them, but this is working with base 10. So I'm actually working with base 10 with my daughter right now, place value. So if you wanted to make 13, we've been talking about, and I'll use this because I don't have anything to draw with, but we've been using the hundreds chart that I have, and we look at the number 13 and we say, okay, everything in this column, that's the tens column. So how many tens do I have? I have 1 10. Oh, 1 10. So, and how many ones do I have? Everything in this column means the ones. And again, I will explain how to use a hundreds chart later. They're pretty easy, but they can be a little overwhelming if you don't know what to do with them at first. So, there are 3 ones. So we're going to count out 1, 2, 3. So this is 13. 13, all it means is you have tens, 1 set of 10, and 3 ones. And you can actually go through if you need to and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You wouldn't do it this fast with them, but 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And this will give them an appreciation. And again, they use these for so many worksheets, and there are so many skills that children learn with these. If you have a set, it's great. Again, you don't have to. I will have videos up later on how to use money for the same skill. But a lot of worksheets use these for visuals, so if you can have the physical copy, you can even make your own. You can make your own. You can draw them and cut them out on paper and use them if you don't have them. Way cheaper. They're nice, but you don't have to have them. But again, if you're doing that, instead of doing all the worksheet stuff, you can even have them do the work with these and then have them write the answer down. Do what works for your child. Not everything is going to work for every child, but if you can move some of this work from the paper to physical practice, they're going to learn faster. They're not going to be as miserable, hopefully. Again, different things for different kids. But the goal is to keep it fun, to keep it from feeling overwhelming. Let's see, another fun thing I have. And I actually have, if you look on my website, I have like a homeschooling resource tab, and this is at brittanyperl.com, and in it I have my absolutely most recommended homeschooling objects or items that you can buy. Some of them are manipulatives. I have a planner on there that I actually designed for homeschooling. I have my favorite sets of books. I will be adding books as I start to do reviews. And then I also include these at the bottom of the blog post. So if you go to the blog, you'll see these at the bottom, so it's nice and easy. You don't have to find them in all the other pieces. But again, you don't have to have them. These are just nice things to have on hand. There are other ways to make them. I will also be doing videos on that. I have all these plans for videos, but I am a stay-at-home homeschooling, work-at-home mom of 2 very energetic children. I'm also trying to move to minimalism right now, so my time to make videos, unfortunately, is smaller than I would like, but it's coming. These are amazing. So these are, they're like Unifix cubes, which you would get for math, but they have letters. And I love it because it has the capital on 2 sides and the lowercase on 2 sides. And the consonants, which is everything that's not a vowel, are blue, and the vowels are red. Same thing, lowercase, uppercase. So these are amazing, and so I use these a lot with my daughter for phonics. And so what we would do is, my daughter is, she's mechanical. She has a very mechanical mind. Let's see what I can, okay. So if we were working on words that have U in the middle, you know, and then I would, so there's our F, here's our U, and she likes them because she can take them apart and put them together, and that is just how she learns. That is, not all kids learn this way, my daughter does. Fun. And then what you do is you can break off a piece and stick another one on. So, see if I can find B. Bun. And again, she's mechanical, so it works for her. I love these. I learned about these when I was doing a practicum in kindergarten. And so those are great. So again, anything you can use, and you can do a lot of this on a whiteboard. We have just a generic whiteboard and we keep whiteout markers around. My daughter does a ton of stuff on the whiteboard because you can design it however you want. You can make the letters really big and bold, or you can make them small. You can do matching games. You can do circle games. Again, things that are different from what your child has on a worksheet. The other recommendation I would have is, if your child is struggling to do all the worksheets all at once, is make sure you break up your practice. So it's really easy as a parent to say, you know, we're going to get all the homeschooling done for today right now because I have things to do and I don't want to come back. But kids don't work that way. I've tried to get my daughter into doing everything all at once, and she just does much better if we break it up. So 5 minutes per subject is a really, really good time period for littles. We moved to the point with my daughter, she's 5 now, that it's more like 10 minutes per subject, maybe 15 if we're not focusing. But really not doing it all at once, because it really can just be overwhelming. Give them something, give them a reward in between. And the rewards don't have to be like M&Ms or candy or, you know, actual toys. Reward of, 5 minutes of doing whatever you want, or 5 minutes of bouncing. We have one of those indoor trampolines. 5 minutes of bouncing on the trampoline. 5 minutes, mommy will play with you for 5 minutes. Or, something like that. Or you could do something like get a special coloring book of something that they love, but only allow them to color in the coloring book when they've done their work. So you have 5 minutes to color in this Lightning McQueen coloring book once you finish your work. And that way it breaks things up and they're not feeling like they're so overwhelmed. There's not a stack of paperwork. We as adults, we don't like stacks of paperwork. Who likes stacks of paperwork? So break it up. Give them a break in between. They really do need physical activity too. Kids do not do well just sitting. They shouldn't be sitting. It's harder right now because almost all of us are in quarantine. So we don't have a backyard with a fence anymore since we moved, so I can't kick my kids outside and say, hey, go be outside for 5 minutes. I have to be with them, and we have to stay in our little tiny, porch area. We have kind of a common area behind our house, and so we have to stay in our area. But give them 5 or 10 minutes of physical activity. Turn on a YouTube kids dance video and let them do the kids Zumba. I don't know. You can find anything online these days. Physical activity is great. Do the hokey pokey with them. You don't need to buy all these things. They've got them for free. You can do so much. Red light, green light, Simon Says. So many things you can do. Something going off of that my daughter does, I've learned that she does much better. My kid has to move. And by say has to, I mean she really has to move. She doesn't have ADHD, but she has to be moving for certain things to focus. And you wouldn't think that's the case. Usually when a kid's fidgeting all around, you say sit down and stop talking. She's not the kid that can do that a whole lot. Yeah, I have to, I don't lay down on the ground. I don't want her laying down while we're working, but we have one of those fidget cushions that she does really well with, and I can link that too. We use them in my school, and they're great because the kids that have to rock back and forth, it keeps the chair from, doing this number. It's not good for the chair, but it allows them to move without disturbing so many people, because it's literally this rubber cushion with air in it, and they just can move back and forth, and it gives them a little more literally wiggle room. So that's fun. And sweetheart, could you give me her cushion? Is it right there? I can't reach. Oh, okay, thank you. This is her wiggle cushion. I love this thing. We got it on Amazon. They've got some really expensive ones. You don't need an expensive one. This one is amazing. This is Tuma's. I will link it also, but on this side it has all of this, and on this side it has less pointy bumps. But these are great, and I've actually stood on this before, and it's kind of fun, and they're so strong that adults can stand on them. Small adults, I suppose. My husband stood on it, and he's not like tiny, you know, without popping them, but they're great. My daughter, we found, also does really well if she's jumping on the trampoline while she does certain activities. And these are more rote activities. These wouldn't be addition and subtraction. They would be like reciting songs. So I'll have to link him. Jack Hartman has some amazing YouTube videos for kids, just wonderful. The guy totally knows what he's doing. And so he has a video where you know, he counts from 1 to 100, and it's like the exercise song, and it shows the number on the screen, and he's saying it, and so it goes in sets of 10. So what I do with her is, I've noticed she does really well if she's watching the screen while she's bouncing up and down, and she actually does better with staying with the numbers if she's moving while she does it. And this is very common for small children. It's really common. We want kids to sit still for way longer than they should be. Really, at this age, they don't need to sit that much. My brother did work upside down. He just did. Same thing she has. There's an alphabet song that he has. It's see it, say it, sign it, something like that. See it. I don't know. They see it, say it, sign it. I need to work on it too. But it's where my husband's singing it now. It gets stuck in your head. But it's where they have the, you know, the sign language alphabet while they have it on the screen and you're hearing it. So I don't expect her to, you know, memorize everything in it. But it's a good way for her to see it, to see the letters and hear it while she's doing the song. And again, she does much better if she's bouncing up and down on the trampoline while she does it. So things that are rote, you know, are great. Just calendar, if you're doing calendar work, pull out an actual calendar and just talk. You can literally talk your way through a calendar lesson. They don't need to be writing down names of days of the week. They can if you want them to, but if it just feels like extra work to you and you don't think they really need to, or you don't think they're ready for that yet, just pull out the calendar and do it with them by hand. Talk about them, you know, today is this day, what was yesterday, what was the day, you know, what's tomorrow going to be. So there are a lot of ways to hit the same skills physically and audibly, you know, talking through it, letting them hear it, playing with actual, you know, little objects, that they hit the same skills that they have in worksheets, but they're better for young children. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Go ahead and like this video if it was helpful, and subscribe so you make sure you don't miss future updates, because I've got a ton of videos I'm planning on doing. I'm just putting them out as I have time with the little bitties. I'm hoping to get at least 2 out this week, maybe more, we'll see. Again, you can sign up at my website, BrittanyPerl.com, and Perl is P-E-R-L. I'll have the link to that in the description below. You can sign up and you'll get a free printable hundreds chart, and I'll show you those later once I have them. I can't reach it right now because I'm all mic'd up. I have a printable 100 sheet, which is perfect size to use pennies and dimes with. And I have a number line on there, which I will show you how to use. It has a little bit more in there than a typical number line. But ways to use that. And you'll get this for free. I will be uploading more free stuff as it comes. And so, you know, make sure you're signed up so that you get that stuff as I finish it. And check back in and keep counting on. Bye-bye.